Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Georgia's Time. I am George, and in the studio, we're going to be talking a little bit something like, you know, the way when you're looking at politics and saying, what the hell has just happened? What the hell has happened? Well, that's what we're going to be asking today, because it's been a massive development. The reduction in around 20 politicians in denea. It's been a massive situation along the way, and a massive victory for the brand new party that originated from our Northern Ireland here. So how would you like to put it? Like being obviously you weren't you originally didn't get your seat in Northern Ireland when you lost your seat to a Sinn Féin candidate, I believe, but you won it in this election. Yeah, well, basically, how it happened was this. So I was in a very strong nationalist area. That was where I was going up for election, and I actually received a couple of death threats. Because people thought I was harming their basically political system, and I guess I was in a way theirs. But that's the thing. So I wasn't able to get in that time here. So I didn't really have much experience when it came to politics, but luckily I was still part of the party. So when the party moved to denea, I came with them, and when I came with them, I said, well, why not, I approached them and said, why not make me Minister of Transport? And they were like, well, no, we won't do that, but we'll put you up for election. It was a little joke, yeah, where basically, I was thinking, if I asked for more than they're willing to give, then surely they'd give me at least the possibility of elections. They gave me a candidacy. I lost that one too, but then, in the by-election, they gave it to me again. And I won that time, because the whole point was that a lot of the time, this situation here is basically this. In denea, there's a lot of corruption, but it's the same. It's not really a lot of corruption in the sense of like, loads of corruption. This country's saying. It was more that it was we discovered a large amount of corruption. Like there's probably might even be less corruption than there is here. But the point was that we discovered the corruption, and of course, I was one of the people who were tasked with trying to make it basically sort of fair and above board looking in a way. So apparently now, some people have accused you of basically subverting democracy by allowing people to vote for the political candidate and then releasing the stuff, basically disheartening them to the political candidate and to that party. Rather than if you just release this and it would just look like you were just looking for an election, and then it would be like, oh look, it's an opportune moment. So that's the kind of thing we were looking at now. Well, now I would say they're right, because at the end of the day, when we found this information out, we were thinking, okay, so these are political candidates, and we do have a couple that we didn't release information on. Sorry, what? There's candidates you didn't release information on. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple that, there wouldn't have been really enough sort of behind them to be removed. So we said, well, there's no point removing that. There's no point saying, oh, this person had tea with a oil magnate or something, and then an oil contract was handed over to them. Those kind of things. You don't want to be, right, they don't want to be spreading those kind of things, because they're kind of a bit wishy-washy, lacking in substance, rather than the 20 million the leader was paid over the past few years for different involvements that cost the government roughly 2 billion. The cost of the government, 2 billion. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I guess I just said this. A lot of the time, these agreements are more. They would have cost the government around $500 million. We estimate if we only lost about 1.5 billion. As in, they would have cost money anyway, but it's because it costed 2 billion. Now you have to minus off $500 million. That would have been the base cost for how much you would have had to pay it anyway. To just sort of get the contracts done. Yeah. So people looked at your massive victory and they thought, well, how do we accept this? Like this is a sudden majority of a party. What do you think was the insight? Do you think people realized they wanted you? No, actually I would say that a lot of the time people would use this as a spoiled vote. A spoiled vote. Yeah, I think in the original election, people who didn't like those parties saw, oh, okay, this is a party here, I'll use them as a spoil vote. That was one thing in Dania that we noticed when we were coming in there, that a lot of people were disheartened with the two-party system. And they were independent, they were independents and they were smaller parties. But we were the first party that said, look, we're a party that succeeded before. We managed to bring stability to a country, we managed to do all this sort of stuff. We have been in this position before. We haven't been in this position in Dania, we've still beat a big party before. You can vote for us, and that way. That was the sort of thing. I think we were seen as the candidates who were not going to we were going to go along with their ideas, but because we were seeing the spoiler, it was like, well, I'll vote for them instead of just sort of not voting for them. Like basically we were seen as more of a blank slate. Like nobody would really think like, well, if I'm going to vote for you, you're going to follow my ideas because you don't have enough power. But that was the key thing. And that's why I think it was a good thing that we had a by-election instead of just a basic sort of election. If we had an election, we would have seen, oh, you've got 190 vote, you've got 190 of the seats. No, I'm not going to vote for you. And that, I think, is the key thing here. And that's the issue with a lot of politics. You have a party which does not have a majority. But we're like, you're not doing anything in politics. You're thinking, but if you're in a majority, if you're not in a majority, you cannot do that. You have to talk with those people who have more votes than you do. Otherwise you're just slowing the process down. If you keep going, oh, I want this thing to go through, I want this thing to go through, and it's not going to go through, they're not for it. You just discuss this in the background and you go, will you support this? No, you won't? Okay, fine, we won't have that then. And that's the key thing here. Once you get a majority, you're able to finally say, okay, we're going to introduce this policy. And once you get that majority, you're able to gain the trust of citizens. The problem is, if your citizens don't give the majority, which they shouldn't do if they don't trust you. If they don't trust you, why would you? It's very, very dangerous to give the party a majority when you don't trust that party, or that party isn't to be trusted. Even if you think, oh, that party is very, very trustworthy, it's not a good idea, really. Only a certain party. I mean, there are a lot of parties around this world that are really not trustworthy, whether their citizens think that or whether it's just a fact. And there's some parties which are trustworthy, but other citizens don't think so. That's the key thing here. You have here, you have that party, in England, that one. Something or other, that party there, they had their thing, and they were a very untrustworthy party. They were a very kind of almost, I would say, fascist party in a way, and it was concerning. And that was the thing you have there. That party is not to be trusted, and that's the key thing you have here. Where it's like, well, if you're going to manipulate the facts, if you've got a party that's going to manipulate the facts, well, you don't want that party in politics, even if you think you want it. That's the key thing here. You don't want to give a party a majority if you don't trust them, or if you can't trust them. And that is the key thing here, because you can never actually see if you can trust them unless you give them a majority. But you can't trust them to give them a majority. It's a kind of vicious cycle there. And I would say it's perfectly fair for people to not give their politicians a majority, because it's not a good idea. Because it's those politicians that are not to be trusted. You do not know. They can wreck your country forever. I'm talking centuries of destruction. I'm talking big, major stuff. I am talking major poverty. I'm talking about, dystopian style future, simply because you elected those politicians for a single moment. A group of you said, no, we'll give them a majority. Even electing them in the first place. That is a key thing. I think that was the one problem I would find with the fact that we were spoiled vote. And that was that I don't think we should have been trusted because people didn't know enough about us. So you don't think that you should have been trusted. You don't think you should have been given those votes. No, but we were. So, now, the by-election, that was the key thing with by-election. Because the by-election, it meant that we were able to campaign in local areas. And we were able to secure enough seats to basically balance out that, the thing. And basically all we needed to do is make sure that the other party lost seats. Lost enough seats that we had more than them. So, currently we only have a few more seats in the party. We don't have a massive majority. So if our own politicians go against us in any way, well, let's just say then it won't be accepted. And that's the key thing here. And that's one of the things we want to get rid of. We'll be talking about in the future where, I don't think it's a good idea to have this kind of system where it's like, I even talk with the leader myself, where I don't think it's a good idea to have this system where you just have the leader going, oh, I like it this way, so let's let the party will vote it this way. That's not a good system. The people elected politicians. They didn't elect the party. They elected politicians. What I'm saying is, they elected a party and politicians. They elected two of them. So they elected politicians due to the party and due to them. You cannot say then that politician goes in and says, oh, this is how my people feel. And then the person at the top says, oh no, you're part of this party, so no, you're not going to vote like that. You're not going to vote the way your people want to. No, that is not a good idea. Because then what you have there is you're basically electing a dictator there, and really the only way to avoid that is to have a coalition government. But if you go to a coalition government, then all you've got just an oligarchy, and that's the problem here. You've got to avoid this sort of system whereby you just basically have a mock democracy. It's not really a true democracy, and that's the key thing we want to vote there. Yeah. So you recently have a new majority. Now this new majority, it's a bit unstable because it was due to a by-election. I have to say, will you be calling another election? Well, as far as I can tell from the schedule we have, if I just see here, sorry, I apologize. Continuously. Maybe, yeah, maybe. Don't you think that some people would not like this? I don't know. I don't know. People have all different likes and dislikes, and yeah, no. Let's cut that stuff. Do you think people will actually vote for your party? I think that people will vote for our party if they realise that we are to be trusted. Well, I don't know how to do that, but no offense, but yeah. And of course, thank you for the New DLN party for sending their candidate to talk with me today, and thank you for listening. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel and come back next time. Hopefully we'll see you then. If not, goodbye for everyone.